Good evening, folks, and welcome to another Salty Seaman's military movie bullshit. By much request, today we're doing A Few Good Men. And no, I'm not just picking on Tom Cruise being in Navy movies. This is actually a really well done movie, but it does have its issues. I don't think I've sat down and watched this all the way through in many a year, so let's see how it goes. I will say this was a popular movie on the ship, and I've definitely seen bits and pieces of it over and over again. Every time I've been stationed on a ship, it just always seemed to catch this at during lunch or whatever on the mess decks. So, without further ado, here we go into some Few Good Men. The time-honored tradition of hazing. No one does it better than Marines. You know, everyone's always impressed with drill and drill marching, and the Marines do it better than anyone else, but at the end of the day, it's just doing something in a basic rhythm, which, most human beings can do with a little bit of practice. I've never been overly impressed by it. It looks cool, I guess. Always impressed with, every time I see this movie, just like all the heavy hitters in this movie. A lot of them before they really were heavy hitters. Noah Wiley, Kevin Bacon, obviously Tom and Jack Nicholson, and Demi Moore was coming up at the time. But, just a ton of people in this movie. Rob Reiner directing, it's a big deal. And it's based on a play by Aaron Sorkin, of West Wing and a million other shows fame. So it's, this is a pretty heavy movie in terms of, writing and acting. Now, I know I hit on the ribbon racks and such a lot, but, I mean, seriously, this is a bunch of JAGs, and they got MSMs up the wazoo. Demi Moore over here has an MSM with, I think, a second award as a lieutenant commander. A little ridiculous, What did she do? Did she, jump out of a helicopter and saved her client or something? So the gist of their little conversation there between Tom Cruise's character and the other prosecutor. Sounds like there was an SM2 who smoked oregano, thinking it was weed. He got caught, and now they're trying to get him for intent to legally use drugs when he never actually did anything. And he's basically saying, like, he's going to get him off with a misdemeanor, restriction vice brig time. It seems a little off. Basically, if he was supposed to be such a hot shit JAG, he should get the guy off completely. But on the other hand, when you do something like that, they usually try to look for something else to fucking nail you on. So, it smells of bullshit, but, I guess I let that one pass a little bit. And yes, the cliche of the cocky asshole eating an apple trope. So overused and overplayed, like everyone. This is a little before it was kind of a known thing, but they still do this as much as it gets pointed out that it's just overused and tired. But it's kind of annoying, even seeing it in an older movie. Man, those are some nasty rolls on those blouses there, Marines. Tighten it up a bit. Colonel Jessup has got a very, very low reg Marine cut here. Other issue here, there's a lot of people that argue whether or not Colonel Jessup would have taken such an interest in the woes of a PFC and him trying to rat people out, blah, blah, blah. I think it would depend. My first instinct is to say it's bullshit. He's a colonel. He's got better things to do than some guy trying to get transferred. And, even if he is rattling some cages with talking about the fence line shooting, the fact that he would be so involved in it when he has so many other things to do is kind of bullshit. But I could see certain COs taking a personal vested interest in it. Now, as far as where he goes with it, as we all know at the end of the movie, that's more up for debate, and we'll get to that when we get there.
We went to the academy together.
And of course, Colonel Jessup is an academy grad. Because just being a JROTC, it never sounds as important as being a fucking Academy ring knocker. I'm so sick of that fucking bullshit trope. Just like, oh, if you're an officer, you went through the academy, that shows what a great... I'm like, you know what? Such a small percentage of people go through the fucking academy. And yes, it's prestigious, but it is such a small percentage of Marine and naval officers. I just get sick of it. And I guess at some point I should answer the question about, a PFC and a Lance Corporal, called Corporal and Private. Marines are very, very particular on calling them by their exact rank, including before the XO was Lieutenant Colonel, and they kept calling him Colonel. That kind of shorthand does happen in the Navy, not in the Marines. The Marines, you are a Lance fucking Corporal. You're not a Corporal. If you're a PFC, Private First Class, you're not a Private. If you're a Staff Sergeant, you're a Staff Sergeant, not a Sergeant. They're very, very particular on it. That's one thing this movie kind of gets wrong. And honestly, watching this, they get a lot right. There was obviously a lot of attention to detail, but that's one of those little things that, along with, the rolling of the sleeves is a little, shaky. And, Colonel Jessup's low reg haircut, which is probably more of Jack Nicholson not wanting to get a Marine buzz. But for the most part, this movie does get a lot of shit right. But that is one thing they should have worked harder on, is the Marines are very, very specific about, calling them by their exact rank.
I don't like the whites.
It's true. Whites look nice, but no one likes them in the Navy because they get so goddamn dirty. So if they don't want to get shot at by the Cubans wearing white uniforms, why do they still have their bright white hats on? In fact, why do any of them have their covers on, sorry, not hats, and an open-air Jeep ready to get them blown off? Just take your goddamn covers off. Why does PFC have so many dress uniforms? Yes, I'm still pissed off they keep calling him Private. He's a Private First Class. Why does he have more dress uniforms than God? I don't think they normally have more than... the Bravos more than 2, and the more dressy uniforms more than 1, maybe 2, but it's like he's got 4 apiece. A little overkill there.
Don't say sir like I just asked you if you clean the latrine.
Maybe it's because Caffey is not very up on his Navy Marine Corps lingo, as they try to let us know throughout this movie how non-military he is, but why the fuck did he say latrine? Marines and Navy say head. If there's one part of this movie that ever gets pointed out as being a bunch of bullshit, it's saluting an officer when he leaves the room. Number 1, uncovered. Number 1, inside. Don't think I have to go over how much bullshit that is. And of course it comes up later at the end, but... yeah, fucking Hollywood bullshit. Doing these videos, I'm really starting to notice something I've never really noticed before, is the external shots of like these real military places always has everyone walking around in dress uniforms. It's like, I sort of like the last 3 or 4 I've done that do that kind of exterior shot always put them in the fucking dress uniform. And I get why, but at the same time, it's so irritating to someone who actually knows what people wear walking around a base. Set dressing, but it's still bullshit. Oh man, I totally forgot Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in this. I remember Noah Wiley being in it. I'm a big ER fan. That's funny because the ER guys kind of have a track record being in Navy movies with Tom Cruise, like Goose, Dr. Green. But Cuba Gooding, also a track record of being in movies with Tom Cruise, is in this, and I totally blanked that till just now. Okay, we actually get an explanation why she has 2 MSMs. It's still bullshit. Granted, they kind of show Dawson as being a mean, tough motherfucker that everyone respects. But Noah Wiley's character here outranks him. Why is he so afraid of being beat up by Lance Corporal? Making the whole flight book, logbooks disappear. I get where they're going with this. Both of these guys are, spec ops, secret squirrel types. So the implication is here is he has the ability to scrub all these records, but there would be a paper trail somewhere. This isn't just a log book. It goes around to a lot of different places. It would be really, really hard to scrub. If he dug deeper, I think, and tried to find some other auxiliary type of proof about the flight, they probably could have gone in that direction, because there isn't just one line of paperwork. But that's just my speculation. Your witness, counsel. Lieutenant J.G. Cafferty, stop driving under the influence. As a lawyer and legal counsel, you know way better and what happens when you drive drunk. Was the NCIS called the NIS back in 1992? Anyone knows, let me know in the comments, because I just really noticed right now they keep saying NIS. I just realized they mean the NCIS. But maybe they added the criminal part later. The conduct unbecoming a Marine charge. Been debate on this one, what exactly they meant here, as there is no, of course, specific UCMJ rule, conduct unbecoming a Marine, obviously. But people have argued back and forth what exactly it meant, what charge that was referring to. Some people say it's complete bullshit made up for the movie. Your interpretation of the UCMJ is as good as mine, but I will call bullshit on it because there is no such article, the UCMJ specifically. And of course, the famous saluting indoors with no cover. There's an officer on deck, all complete bullshit. But it makes for a nice little ending scene, I guess. Anyways, that is going to do it for the Salty Seaman and military movie bullshit on A Few Good Men. A fantastic movie. Aaron Sorkin just writes the best dialogue. For the most part, they did a really good job of making sure this was close to accurate. You've noticed I didn't pick a humongous amount of flaws out of it, but definitely enough to to keep myself entertained. But overall, if you've never seen this movie, it is a really, really good movie. Maybe one of the best military movies ever made, I think. So that's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll entertain any suggestions for future military movie bullshits. I think the next one is going to be a series of shorts, just TV show parts and movies that don't quite have enough to make a whole episode on, but I'll just kind of compile it. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.